Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today is January 31st, 2023, and we are gathered here in the hearing room of the County Administrative Services Building for our administrative matter meeting for the Larimer County Board of County Commissioners. Please join me for the pledge. Stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for joining us for the Pledge of Allegiance. And now I will introduce my colleagues and folks at the dais real quick. My name is Jody Shai McNally. I am the chair of the Board of County Commissioners. I reside in District 3. Joining me at the dais is my colleagues, Commissioner Kristen Stevens, who resides in District 2, and my colleague, Commissioner John Kafalis, who resides in District 1. Also across from us at the other side of the diocese is our clerk from the Clerk and Recorder's Office, who is here to take our notes, is Elizabeth Carter. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being here. We also have our County Manager, Lorenda Volker. We have Tom Clayton from our Public Affairs Public Information Office, and Sarah Martin from the Commissioner's Office, who will help us with reading our schedule and public comment today. We have a really exciting agenda today, but first we will go and start with public comment. We don't have anyone who has signed up. I'll check with Sarah to see if there's anybody online.
No one on the line.
Thank you, Sarah. So I will open it up to those in the audience for one last opportunity. Is anyone in the audience wish to make public comment? You will have 3 minutes. Okay, with that, I don't see anybody in the audience who wishes to make public comment, so we will close public comment. And now we'll move on to approval of our minutes. Colleagues, I know one of you had made some corrections. Do we have any other corrections, or can I have a motion to approve the minutes for the week of January 23rd, 2023? Commissioner Kafalis, would you make that motion, please?
Yes, I move to approve the minutes for the week of January 23rd, 2023.
There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you so much. We'll move on to our upcoming schedule. And Sarah, would you please read off our schedule, and then we'll see if we have any changes. Thank you.
This is the commissioner's schedule for February 6th to the 11th. On Monday, February 6th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will convene as the Board of Social Services in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the Virtual Forest Health Council Subcommittee on Leveraging Resources. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be land use items with Development Review Team in the hearing room on the first floor. And from 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m., there will be land use items with the Development Review Team in the hearing room on the first floor. On Tuesday, February 7th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be admin direction to County Management in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Rodeo Board meeting at the Thomas M. McKee 4-H Youth and Community Building at 5280 Arena Circle in Loveland. From 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend a tour of the Larimer Humane Society at 3501 East 71st Street in Loveland. From 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Parks Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting in person. It'll be at the Horsetooth Information Center at 4200 West County Road 38E in Fort Collins, or virtually via Zoom. On Wednesday, February 8th, from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Workforce Development Board meeting at 200 Peridot Avenue in Loveland. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Environment, Energy, and Land Use meeting. From 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., there will be a commissioner retreat at the Arrowhead Lake Conference Room on the 4th floor. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., there will be a Commissioners Planning Commission work session at the Lake Estes Conference Room on the 3rd floor. On Thursday, February 9th, from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Fort Collins Downtown Development Authority Board of Directors meeting at the Innisphere Ventures at 320 East Vine Drive, Suite 101 in Fort Collins. From 1 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual broadband stakeholder legislative meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Office on Aging Advisory Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at 200 Peridot Avenue in Loveland or virtually via Zoom. From 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., the commissioners will attend a tour of the ranch construction at 5300 Arena Circle in Loveland. From 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Stevens will host a community conversation for the Fort Collins community at the Fort Collins Senior Center at 1200 Raintree Drive in Fort Collins. On Friday, February 10th, from 8:30 a.m. to 9:20 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Forest Health Council Legislative Committee meeting. And on Saturday, February 11th, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioners Stevens and Shattuck McNally will attend the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Sarah. Our year of 2023 has been off to a very, very fast clip, so thank you for all that. Commissioners, do you have any changes or corrections? Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. On Wednesday, February 8th, I will be attending the CCAT Governing Board from 12 to 1:30. And then I believe the tour of the ranch was moved to a different date because apparently it's muddy or icy at this point. So is that correct? I'm looking for nods. Thank you. All right. So we're doing that a different time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kafalis, any changes or corrections, sir? Okay. I don't think I have any major corrections or changes, so at this point. Thank you very much, Sarah, and we'll move on to our next item on our agenda. So we will move up discussing our consent agenda. Just so the public knows and the people in the audience, the consent agenda consists of items of no perceived controversy and routine administrative actions such as abatements, agreements, deeds, final plats, liquor licenses, resolutions, and other matters previously reviewed by the Board of County Commissioners. Staff recommends approval of the consent agenda, and a commissioner may request that an item be pulled off the agenda and be considered separately, and that item would be pulled from the agenda and be considered after the board takes action on the remainder of the consent agenda. So for members of the public, this consent agenda is published on our Larimer County Board of County Commissioners website in further detail. So I'm going to briefly read at a high level what's on the consent agenda, but if you have some questions about any of those, you can go on to our larimer.org website to learn more. So we have 6 agreements on our consent agenda. The first one is the Department of Health Care Policy and Financing Agreement, which is between Larimer County and the Department of Health Care Policy and Financing. And this is the purpose of the amendment is just to create and provide a performance-based benchmarks and deliverables for Larimer County Department of Human Services to achieve certain performance standards related to county administration and medical assistance eligibility, and so on. And again, like I said, you could find out more information about this on the website. Agreement 2 is Amendment 1 to the Colorado Regional Opiate Intergovernmental Agreement for the Larimer County region. And this is from David Arode from our attorney's office. And basically, I sit on this council as a vice chair, and we're basically changing our IGA to add Estes Park as a voting member to this Region Opioid Abatement Council. They have been attending regularly as advisory, but now they'll be a voting member. Number 3, we have amendment number 1 to professional services agreement for the broadband program management. And this is between Larimer County and Ditesto LLC. The 4th is a first amendment of the right-of-way contract number 1426 between engineering and the State Board and Land Commissioners and the Larimer County Board of County Commissioners. We also have number 5. The 5th is a grant agreement, the American Rescue Plan Collaborative Projects Grant Subaward for renovations to create a teen center, which is really exciting news. And this is between Larimer County and the Center for Family Outreach. You can again go on more to learn about this. This Family Outreach Center and for renovation would be located at right across the street here at 212 Mountain View Avenue. Number 6 is a grant agreement, the American Rescue Plan Collaborative Projects Grant Subaward for the on-site medical clinic for people experiencing homelessness, which we had a presentation on this a few weeks ago. I'm very excited about this, and this is a using $1 million of our American Rescue Plan Act funds to help Homeward Alliance renovate the parts of the Murphy Center to create an on-site medical clinic that will provide primary medical care for people experiencing homelessness. And so that's very excited to see that on our agenda. Appointments is the recommend appointments to the Fair Board. We have liquor licenses. We have 2. One is a new liquor license for Coleman Kessler Group, LLC, or also known as Ride a Cart and Cascade Creek Mini Golf in Estes. We have a liquor license renewal of Lazy Bee Chuck Wagon and Show, LLC, and that also is in Estes. And then we have a miscellaneous. We have one in which is a Union Valley Fort Collins Co. LLC stipulation for the tax year, and then a CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation certification of road mileage for Larimer County. And that's with the engineering, was submitted by engineering department. We also have a policy. We have the climate, environment, stewardship, and sustainability policy submitted by our climate and sustainability forward manager, Heidi Pruis. And this is adoption of the climate, environment, stewardship, and sustainability policy. And you can read about that policy online. Do my colleagues have anything they'd like to pull from the consent agenda? Okay, I will welcome a motion to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner Stevens, would you mind making that motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda for January 31st, 2023.
Thank you so much. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, for calling out the 2 grant agreements that we're using American Rescue Plan dollars to fund. So that the teen center, I think, is going to be a really great project. As you said, they received hundreds of thousands of dollars from the Department of Local Affairs and are working with the health department. And the teen center is going to serve youth involved in the justice system, maybe some of whom might have behavioral health issues or substance abuse issues. So this is teens are really struggling right now. We're seeing high suicide rates and really high mental health issues among teens. And so this is $25,000 to sort of get them over the hump, to get the ADA changes that they need to make in the building to make it so that all students can participate in their programming. So I think that was a really exciting. And then just wanted to thank David Root, who's here from the Murphy Center and Homeward Alliance, the medical clinic that will provide primary care for people experiencing homelessness is really needed in our community. We're really trying to make sure that people on the street struggle with a lot of medical issues, and if we can prevent them and get them some peace and some health stabilization before we get them into housing, that's really important. So that's a great thing that I wanted to highlight as well. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Yes, we're really happy to see David and Homeward Alliance team in the audience. Thank you all for being here today. We're super excited to be partnering with you on this really important endeavor. With that, there's a motion on the table. All those in favor for approving consent agenda, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, we're going to move on now to Commissioner guests, and I'm very excited to have my friend and also a great long-term Larimer County resident and public servant family in Larimer County, Jeffrey Pombranca, Executive Director of Meals on Wheels. I mentioned this last week. It is the thank you for coming. This is the 55th anniversary of Meals on Wheels, and this is kind of a program near and dear to my heart, having taken care of as a caregiver for my older grandparents and parents. And I know the great work through my service on Office on Aging Advisory Council, the amazing work that Meals on Wheels does. It's not just a meal, it's more than that. I think that's one of your taglines, but it's very, very true. And I know that you're having a big year with your 55th anniversary. You had an open house last week, but I was hoping, I know you did a presentation to Office on Aging Advisory Council, which really talked about the increasing food prices and the increasing need. And I also wanted to help you clarify. I think you said we're the first or oldest west of the Mississippi. I just wanted to make sure I had that correct.
Sure. So thank you very much for allowing me to come speak. As far as I know, we are definitely the oldest in Colorado, and I've been told oldest west of the Mississippi. We have newspaper articles showing first in Colorado. We don't have anything oldest west of the Mississippi, but we have never found anyone older. And it's fantastic. It's wonderful for Larimer County to be able to say that we have this going way back. We did start January 29th, 1968, 12 meals out of the Elks Lodge kitchen down in Loveland. And thank you for letting me be here just to bring light to what probably everybody understands with growing inflation and such, a little bit of our numbers. Meals on Wheels, we deliver a fresh, hot meal every weekday to people, mostly people who are over 60. So 94% of the people we serve are over 60. The people under 60 have some sort of disability, but everybody has difficulty getting out of their house, cooking. They need some sort of support from someone else. So that's really who we serve. If we look at the numbers a little bit more, 56% of the people we serve live by themselves. So they're alone every single day. And our typical, if we had to find someone, the biggest group of people we serve are women in their upper 80s, living alone by themselves, needing someone to come and help them with a meal. They either can't cook, they can't get out, they're having difficulties. As a few of the numbers, so I'm going to use my cheat sheet here. In 2022, January of 2022, we were serving about 1,400 meals a week, roughly 280 meals a day. That was typical before COVID. When I started in March of 17. It was fairly typical. We had gotten back to our typical numbers. This year in January, we're serving over 1,600 meals a week, so closer to 320 meals a day. Interestingly enough, it's not a huge increase in the number of people we're serving. We're actually serving just a little bit fewer, so people who need more meals are getting more meals served. As we're doing that, food costs. In January of 2021, we thought that we calculated our average per meal cost that it cost us just to make the meal was $2.58. Last year, January 22, bounced up to $3.03, and now it's $3.22. So a ginormous increase, well over 20% increase in food costs. And we know, because the food that we need as we age, our body does this fun thing. As we start to slow down, we need fewer calories, but our body doesn't process the nutrients as well. So we need the high nutrient, low calorie food. If you go to the grocery store, it's the expensive food. So that's really what we need to stay healthy and be able to continue to live happy, healthy lives. So we know that is impacting the people we serve as well financially, and that's really one of the big costs. Our budget has skyrocketed in the past. It'll be coming up on 7 years. When I started in 2017, our budget was right at $650,000. In 2023, it's going to be over $1 million, and that's a lot of food costs, as well as doing whatever we can to keep our staff well paid. We were always fighting to stay up with minimum wage, and now we're above that, and our lowest paid salary is well over $15 an hour. So something we're happy to do to keep our staff because we know that they're important to us, and we have staff who have been here for 10, 12, 13 years and such. And the last thing I want to say is, and then happy to answer any questions, talking with one of our longtime volunteers. We rely on volunteers to do this. 18,000 hours is what they provided for us last year. Not only did they package and deliver 74,000 meals, they had 68,000 some visits of people. So it is, as Commissioner, as you said, it is much more than a meal. It is helping people with their isolation and socialization and all that. And this volunteer started back in 1987 when his father-in-law needed a meal. And he and his wife were both teachers. And we started delivering a meal at lunch because she had to run home at lunch. His wife ran home at lunch, left school every day to try and make sure her father was okay. And when Meals on Wheels started, it not only helped him get better, lived another 10, 15 years after we started delivering meals, but really removed the stress from the family. So as someone who's been a caretaker for older adults, you kind of understand that it's more than just a meal. It's more than just the person receiving the meal. And that's the impact that we have, we believe. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for being here. I'll open it to my colleagues, see if they have any questions or comments. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, thank you for being here this morning, and thank you for telling us a little bit about the history of your organization. I delivered Meals on Wheels when I had little kids because it was the one volunteer job I could do and towed along some toddlers. But so I know the value of it, and especially, like you said, making sure that people don't feel isolated. If people have any medical or health concerns, you can check on those kind of things. I opened jars sometimes for people,
Certainly.
which was, I think, helpful. And but one of my questions is talk to us a little bit about funding. So clearly your costs have gone up, and we know that food assistance dollars are actually going down in February. So, I mean, we're feeling like there might be a need amongst all the food providers in the community to kind of ramp up to make sure. And I don't know if you were aware of that, but yeah,
Yes.
people might lose as much as $90 a month in food assistance. So, what does your funding look like? Do you do do people pay a portion sometimes if they can, and then do you do just?
Yeah, so our funding model is really wonderful, I think. We receive funding through the Older Americans Act, which puts certain requirements on it. We cannot charge for our meals. We do have to, though, ask for a donation. So we have people who donate for their meals. It is anywhere from 50 cents a meal to some people who are able to pay $5 a meal. So it's $5 a month to $200 a month. What we found is about a third of the people that we serve don't have any money. We don't even ask. We talk about it at the beginning. And then about another third of the people that we do ask do donate. So we get just over $120,000 a year from what we call client contributions. Our biggest is foundations is one of our biggest, always having strong relationships with nonprofit and foundations and such. We do receive Older American Act funding, which comes through the State Unit on Aging, then the Larimer County Office on Aging. We are applying, there's an RFP for that every couple of years, so we just submitted a new one, which will hopefully raise our rate. Right now, they're reimbursing us at $3.08 a meal. So it's just not even covering our food costs. And then when we add in everything that we do, as well as a social worker and the staff to manage 150 volunteers a week, it raises our food price, or our cost to deliver, closer to $8 or $9 an hour. And then the generous community. We have a lot of people who will stick by us and just help. They know the importance, so they'll donate $25, $100, $200 every week, every month, something like that, to make sure that we're able to still keep going.
Well, thank you. I don't think I have any further questions, but really appreciate the work that you do, and let us know how we can be of assistance. Thanks.
It's fun because it's a great job. So I love it when people thank me for having a great job. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Cafalas, any comments or questions, sir?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have both. First of all, appreciate the good work you do, Jeff, for all the 55-year anniversary celebration of the Meals on Wheels in Loveland. So much gratitude for that. A couple of questions that I have. One is Commissioner Stevens referenced this, but the maximum allotments supplemental nutrition assistance program, the emergency, the COVID additional SNAP allotment that households received, that will actually, there's one more month of payment of that, and then in March that'll go down. How are you helping families prepare for that?
So we've had a couple people already who have noticed this. What I really like about, and I apologize for that slipping my mind, the question you asked. What I really like about our service is we're able to manage whatever you want, whatever the person wants. So some people need a meal 5 days a week. Some people ask for 2 meals 5 days a week. Some people ask for additional frozen meals. We're able to deal with that. And so right now, the people that we're seeing they don't get as many meals, or they haven't gotten as many meals in the past. So now they're asking for more meals. I know that there's one woman who, for some reason, it's already impacted her. And she's like, well, I'm going to go from 2 meals a week. Now, please give me 5 and 2 for the weekends and such. So we see that this is all ramping up, and we're going to keep doing whatever we can. We obviously need funding, but being around for 55 years in a strong community, we have a good reserves. So our board is understanding that sometimes we need to dip into those to make sure that we can keep going.
Thank you, Jeff. And are you aware of other resources that are out there? Websites that provide information. The county has provided an updated link to the Department of Human Services that explains, a variety of resources that might help, complement or supplement what folks need.
Yes, fortunately, and I think we're one of the few purely Meals on Wheels organizations in the state of Colorado that has a social worker. We have a woman who's been a social worker for 40 years, specializing in older adults for the past 30. She's actually working with lots of other organizations, has brought them all in to understand what we do, and is able to make recommendations, referrals, information referral readily. It's not my area of expertise, it is Kate's. She is fantastic at dealing with all this and is on the ball. She told me back in December that this was coming.
Thank you. Just a couple more questions. So given that the demographics of Colorado and our country and certainly Larimer County are changing, I forget what percentage of people will be 65 and older pretty soon. If we're not already, well, certainly they're at 12%, 14%, but that'll go up. From a strategic planning perspective, how is Loveland Meals on Wheels preparing for the fact that there will likely be more homebound persons trying to live independently, aging in place, and so forth?
So our board is looking at what we need to do in the future. And part of it is we're fortunate here in Larimer County, northern Colorado and such. Our population is older and is aging, but they're also healthier. I've talked with other Meals on Wheels who have Lawrence, Kansas, I think, is a similar size to Loveland, and they serve twice as many meals because their population isn't as healthy. So it's slower for us, probably, but we know it's coming. My goal one of the things that we're looking at doing is how can we get people to start actually getting our meals earlier so that they still stay healthier longer? Because we know that our meals are 1/3 of the daily recommended allowance of what an older adult needs. They've got the high protein, the good fats and such, low sugar, low salt. And so if we can get people to start getting those a little bit sooner, then hopefully that will help them stay a little bit healthier, a little bit longer, and continue as people see that we're slowly rising in the numbers, that we'll be able to continue to bring in the funds to help us. So it's going to be an interesting challenge. And not only that, we're very much a meat and potatoes type of clientele that we're serving. So we're looking at how can we change that around, because we know that different food tastes are coming. And so we're looking at some of the other foundations. Next 50 is a big supporter and such. So how can we change our meals so that we can be more adaptive to serve the meals that we know are coming?
Thank you. Last question. Appreciate the dialogue and the good work once again. What level of data collection do you do, and are you in terms of all the different sectors in our community, are you able to serve those sectors? For example, Spanish-speaking households, older adults, there might be some cultural barriers there. Data collection also, do you feel that you're able to serve all of the different sectors of our community.
Sure. So I'm going to start with we are able to, not all of these different sectors, I don't think that they know or want our services as much. It is something that is across the board with all the nonprofits serving older adults. It's always, how do you serve a more diverse population? We're all looking at it. No one has figured it out. And I think a lot of it comes down to, from what I've heard, culture. Different cultures take care of their adults differently. And so maybe the American culture allows for a Meals on Wheels more, and different cultures don't. So again, that goes back to what we're looking at. How can we change our food to make it more culturally appropriate that people will want, as opposed to the meatloaf that people enjoy right now? How can we change the food that we're serving so that different populations, different ethnicities enjoy it as well? As far as the data we collect, it's one of the proud moments that when the pandemic hit back in March of 2020, the same day we had to change from delivering a hot meal every day to we switched overnight and delivered a week of frozen meals every Tuesday. We switched our database to Salesforce, and we can collect just about any type of data that we want. There are certain nutrition requirement questions that we have to answer that we do collect, but we look at everything, and that's how nowadays it's easy. I can tell you the typical age of everybody we serve, how many meals every single person has got. We're looking at how to better understand the data that we can collect. So it's there. I'm not going to say we're great at analyzing it and working at it, but we know that it's important.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, I guess I'm kind of aware of a lot of these things because I've been fortunate to tour your wonderful location and facility and meet a lot of your staff and say hi to Stephanie and everyone else at the office and say thank you and hello from me. I know you guys co-locate with Community Kitchen and share that kitchens, which helps on space and sharing facilities. So I think that's a big plus. So I want to just commend you all for you're always looking to be innovative and find ways to cut corners. I know you got a grant one year to provide those cold or heat boxes so you're able to deliver those meals and they stay warm. And I know those are very interesting and those are cool. But I was hoping you might really quickly share a story because I want to go back to focusing. It's more than just a meal because you guys have the social worker. Not everyone has that. And then you're able to really check on folks. And I know you started that gift program. Just really briefly, if you wouldn't mind sharing that one story, the woman had never received a gift. I don't know if you could share that. I just think it kind of emphasizes how this is more than just a meal.
Sure. So what we like to think about is it's all the small details. Anybody could get a meal from anywhere, and if getting a meal from Domino's is a great service, and we hope that it's good for food and such. But we're really looking to provide that extra hospitality, make people feel welcome and still needed. And what we started before I was here was what we call our Santa Project. Every person that we deliver to gets a hand-wrapped gift. The community comes together, donates all the gifts. It's a wonderful, very complex, and takes a ton of time, but it is so worth it. And I remember a year or two in, a woman passed along a story. She was just floored. She said, I've been married for 60 some years, and my husband believed gifts were for kids. I had never unwrapped a gift in the past 60 years. This was the first one. And it just really hit hard. If I can get 2 more minutes, a different woman, but she sent a card that I carry around with me. Wasn't planned, but thank you very much. She said, Dear Meals on Wheels, thank you so much for all you do. I really appreciate you. You care so much. It means so much. Thank you for the lovely Christmas gift. I often forget that I do matter. Here's to a great new year, Anne. And it's that I carry this around and keep it on my office and such because we need to remember that everybody we serve does matter. Even if their lives have changed a bit, that's what we do. So it's much more than a meal. And these are things that are important.
Well, happy 55th birthday coming up here. And looking forward to any opportunities to come celebrate with you all. I know you had your open house last week, but I think that was with the snow and stuff. And so we're looking forward to celebrating this year with you. I just want to thank you, Jeff, for coming up here, and thank your staff, and just really appreciate the work that you do and the lives that you touch. Meals on Wheels of Loveland and Berthoud might be the oldest, but also I think one of the best and innovative with all these things that you do, the extra little small details, and that you really seek to provide these nutritious meals to not only nourish their bodies, but their souls and their hearts, and enrich their lives of these folks that, are homebound and they're experiencing isolation. And I'm sure it was even worse during the pandemic, but I know that you guys do everything you can to stay in contact with them. And I, from my heart, bottom of my heart, knowing how important this is for having been a caregiver for older adults in my family, how important it is to make sure they feel that they matter. And thanks for reading that card. And thank you for coming today. And we just really appreciate the work that you do in our community.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And we'll be doing stuff all year round to celebrate 55 years. So lovelandmealsonwheels.org if anyone's interested. And now, unfortunately, I've got to run to make sure that meals go out again.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you for colleagues for some great questions for our guest. Drive safe, Jeff. We appreciate you coming. We're going to move on to an exciting discussion item, and I will have Lori, I think you said I was going to have Connor come up, or did you want to? Okay, so we're going to talk about Larimer County coming into this discussion item about Larimer County and Blue Federal Credit Union to enter into a naming rights agreement for the event center at the ranch. And I'm going to invite Connor McGrath, our new and outstanding ranch director, to come to the podium, introduce himself, and then introduce our first group of guests to kind of explain what we're here to discuss and look at today.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about this exciting opportunity. We're here today to talk about the naming rights agreement and renewal term that is coming up in October of 2023. We're currently in an agreement with Anheuser-Busch and have been since 2002, which will expire in September of 2023. And today with me, I have Keller Taylor and Dana Drake that I would like to welcome to the podium if you're okay with that.
Thank you. Welcome. Come on up and introduce yourselves. Thanks for being here today.
Sure. Commissioners, thanks for the opportunity. I'm Keller Taylor with Oakview Group. I serve as your GM out at the event center. I'm a regional VP with the organization as well. I'll introduce a few of my colleagues as well as our guests, if that's okay. Dana Drake here to my right is our Director of Global Partnerships. So he is boots on the ground, selling actively on your behalf every day for all of the assets out at the ranch. He's supported by lots of people behind him, but specifically by Lori Kimmett out in the audience there. She's based in Des Moines on our Global Partnerships team as well. And then we're joined today by three representatives from Blue Federal Credit Union. They are the key leadership staff that I can't tell you how excited we're continuing to foster this relationship and really build a great future with. So Stephanie Tubner is the CEO. Kim Alexander is their Chief Strategy Officer, and then Rod Austin is their SVP of Marketing. So we've had a great and successful multi-year relationship with Blue Credit Union to date, and through the process of using Oakview Group's knowledge of what these naming rights sell for all across the country, and we're actually privileged to have the opportunity to sell and close more naming rights deals than any other private firm in the U.S. So we've got a lot of knowledge that we built a really strategic package for Blue that I think is presented here in front of you today. So
thank you. And if you wouldn't mind, for members of the public, we know OVG means, but would you mind for acronyms just for the public listening and what OVG means, just because we know who you are, but just for the public. Thank you.
Yeah, so OVG is the acronym for Oakview Group. We're the private facility management, food service partnerships, and other services provider that has been engaged here in Larimer County for coming up on 20 years now. So thank you for your partnership. Certainly been one of our key accounts for many, many years here. So thank you.
And thank you. We have we appreciate the partnership too, and we're excited for the work that you do with us for our ranch, for the rodeo and fair and rodeo and all those things. And we look forward to a really historical year this year as we go forward. So I think I'll go ahead and see if there's questions for right now for this group, and then I'll have you guys invite the next our new naming rights up to come up and make some comments. So colleagues, do you have any questions at this point for our Oakview group and Connor? Commissioner Stevens.
Sure. Well, thanks for bringing this forward. Appreciate the work that you've done on this. So when does the signage change?
That's a great question. I think one of the benefits of being here today is we've got great time to both fulfill the Anheuser-Busch contract, but then also plan for the future. So the fall is going to be an exciting time. Lots of great things happening with the master plan at the ranch that this is just a part of. So we're going to take the next 6-7 months to design the logo, work collaboratively with the ranch team to make sure we're meeting design standards, and come up with a great sign package that represents the partnership that we've got. So we're going to be anxious to kick things off in October, and more to come probably this summer with logo and other exciting things.
Okay, so just invite us to the new sign
Of
unveiling.
course.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. So the signs will probably go up in late September-ish.
Perfect. I think
early
we're free.
October, depending on the final dates. So
Great. I don't have any further questions, but we appreciate the work that you've done to get us to this place. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Paulus, do you have any comments or questions, sir?
I just appreciate the collaboration that we've had over the years, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all the work to do. I mean, it's a great partnership, and Connor, thanks for all the work you've done with this. Is hit the ground running and trial by fire, I would say, is since you've been here just a short time, but we appreciate the work that you've done and the great partnerships and relationships. Quick question, I know that Blue is obviously currently sponsoring the restaurant up at the Budweiser. It's currently the Budweiser Event Center, but the Event Center. And it's going to stay, the restaurant still stay kind of named Blue, or what is that part of this agreement as well?
the restaurant and guest services sub-naming rights are not a part of this new deal. So those are new opportunities for us as a group to go find new partners there. And when we look at naming rights deals, we don't want to be too NASCAR at the same time, right? So I think we came up with a really thoughtful and strategic package for Blue to maximize their exposure and get in front of all those guests having memorable experiences at the facility, not only in the arena, but all over the campus.
Wonderful. I appreciate that asking. I'm kind of not a marketing specialist. I'm always curious about these things because, you realize the impact and how important it is. And we appreciate the partnerships because it helps supports the activities we have out at the ranch, and which is part of Larimer County. Want to remind everybody, it is part of Larimer County. So what we'll do is then we'll go ahead and invite representatives from Blue Federal Credit Union, unless our county manager, Lorenda Volker, has anything she'd like to say to OVG.
I think this has been a great partnership, and this is a good example of the kind of work you do with our ranch directors and the staff. So I'm anxious to hear from Blue and start this new partnership.
Okay, well, I'll have Connor, thank you both for being here today. I'll have Connor introduce our next group of guests.
Thank you, commissioners. I would like to invite up the three members from our Blue Federal Credit Union team and sponsors to answer any questions and make any comment regarding the opportunity and partnership.
Thank you, Connor. Welcome, folks from Blue and from Blue Federal Credit Union, and welcome to the podium. If you mind introducing yourselves, and thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. I am Stephanie Tubner. I'm the president and CEO of Blue Federal Credit Union. I have with me Kim Alexander. She's our Chief Strategy and Growth Officer, and Rod Austin, our Senior Vice President of Marketing. I also want to ensure that I introduce one of our board members, Sean Doherty. Is in the back. He is a board member and actually lives locally and is a huge supporter of the agreement that we've put together. So we're just very excited about this opportunity. We've been working with Oakview Group now for many years. We've had a wonderful experience. They've been terrific to work with. We've had great success in the support of what is now the Budweiser Event Center, and we're just really thrilled for the opportunity to make it the Blue Arena. I loved the question about the signage because we too are super excited to have our name put up there, but we also recognize the time and effort it takes to make all of those changes. And so the work is in progress. We just really appreciate the opportunity and thank you for your support of a tremendous growth opportunity for our organization. We currently have many locations in northern Colorado. We have 12 locations. And so this isn't new for us. This community is not new for us. We're a huge supporter of Fort Collins in northern Colorado. And we feel like this is just one more step to bring people together and make authentic connections for your community. So we're excited to be here. Thank you so much. And I would be happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for being here. Colleagues, do you have any questions or comments to our guest, Commissioner Stevens?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Nice to meet you, and thanks for being here. Maybe you could just talk briefly about some of, I know that credit unions are a good way for people to get into banking who maybe are intimidated by a different model that is more fee-based and seems a little slightly more predatory in some ways. So can you just speak a little bit about maybe some of the services that you offer in the community? Like, do you have financial literacy programs? What kind of programs do you offer?
You bet. Thank you for mentioning that. We credit unions are not-for-profit, member-owned institutions, so we are a cooperative, and we often try to remind people what a cooperative actually is. And in doing that, we do really try to bring our programs to the community. We have extensive financial literacy programs. Some of it is just our products in general, the products that we offer. We definitely have higher rates. We're able to pay higher rates as well as give better discounts on our loans to our members. So that's really where we pride ourselves beyond just the financial literacy piece. And as well as, we, as a member-owned organization, we're able to connect with people where they work oftentimes, which is a huge opportunity for us to get in front of employees when they're at their workplace. And so that's a really big piece for us, as well as getting in front of people where they're at, not necessarily expecting them to come to us.
Great. Thanks for explaining that, because I think that's I like that we found a partnership with someone who, we share those same values of,
Thank you.
trying to build wealth in our community and make sure that people have the knowledge of, how to bank and it's not such a cumbersome process like it might be in other cases. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens. Commissioner Kafal, do you have comments or questions, sir?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much. And curious, Stephanie, what's the story behind the naming of your federal credit union, Blue?
Thank you for that question. I'm always happy to share this story. So we originally were Warren Federal Credit Union out of Cheyenne, and we continue to serve the Air Force. And we actually merged, acquired a credit union that is down in Broomfield, Colorado. It was Community Financial Credit Union, who served municipalities. And so at the time, we decided, we needed a name that was more reflective of both organizations. So Air Force Blue really came to mind. But also, as you know, in Colorado and Wyoming, we have lots of blue skies. And we really wanted to honor that. We really felt like that is something about this area that makes us special. We have a lot of blue skies. So it really brought the two organizations together, but it also had a greater representation for us. So, and it's easy to say.
Yes, thank you. That's an interesting story. Thank you for sharing. The only comment I would make in it, other than I appreciate the partnership and the opportunities before us as we go forward with the ranch and the master plan and all the great work that's happening out there, is I do want to express my appreciation to your Vice President for Marketing, Rod Austin, I believe. We had a very nice conversation back in the fall or whenever it was. And he reached out and he was curious to know what opportunities might be out there for Blue Federal Credit Union to look at different community investments. So I think that's a bit of a testament to your commitment to our community, working with Larimer County and the ranch. So looking forward to the new signage and all this creativity and updating the facility to make sure the seats are good and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And thank you for making the time for us.
So I'll make a few comments and I'll open it to our county manager, Lorena Volker, unless you'd like to make your comments now, and then I'll make my comments. So it's up to you.
Mine are very short. I love the idea of Blue Arena. I think Budweiser has been a great partner, and so we want to thank them for the experience we've had with them. We're looking forward to our new relationship with Blue, and we'll just take it forward. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going to, I kind of echo my colleagues' comments. There are a lot of the same questions I had. And it's funny that you mentioned about the blue skies, because I was going to mention that one of my favorite colors is blue, but I love to hike in Rocky Mountain National Park, kind of born and raised in this area. And one thing that I've come to always treasure is I call them our Colorado bluebird skies when I'm hiking. And one thing about the ranch that I have always treasured is our view shed of our mountain range and how distinctive that is. And I love being out at the ranch on a day when the sky is just bright blue and we can look out from that arena and see that view shed. And I think it's really it's now $1 billion view. It's not $1 million view anymore. And so I wanted to just say I'm glad you said that, because I think that's kind of nice to think about that's kind of part of your history. So that kind of warms my heart. Also want to echo Commissioner Stevens' comments about it's nice to share with a organization that kind of shares our values, and the one is locally founded and based and involved in our community. And I'd be more than happy to sit with you as well. I'm sitting with some other organizations about opportunities, especially in the Loveland area. One that also shares kind of a blue color is, Kids Pack and some of those other organizations that are really valuable. And so that's one of my questions is, obviously you are involved in the community because you're community based. And I was wondering if you could just name one kind of effort volunteering. I know some other organizations have their volunteers come and volunteer, get involved. Could you name just one? Because I'm sure there's several. So.
You bet, absolutely. One of the biggest ones we've become actively involved in this community is Realities for Children. We're a significant supporter of the organization and have been for some time. As a matter of fact, their big blue Christmas tree is a big piece of our representation in our support there, but we not only do it financially, but we also do it extensively from volunteer perspective. We do, our employees are very engaged, but also encouraged to volunteer in our communities, and that includes time that we give them. So we actually give them time every month to come and support, and we allow them to choose. So it really depends on what their passion is, but we want them to bring their passion to light in the communities where they live and work. And so that's a really big piece of it. But Realities for Children is the first one that really comes to mind for me that we're a significant supporter of.
That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that, and thanks for supporting your employees, because I think it's kind of one of those unmeasurable benefits of volunteering that you can't really explain. You have to feel it. So
Yep,
it's
I
really
agree.
important. So thank you. I think it's really exciting that we're starting early, because I am curious as well about the signage and how that all looks and how it's going to look from the highway and things like that. And I'm looking forward to this transition. And we appreciate our former partnership. They've been great partners. And now we're into a new kind of era. So just appreciate this partnership, and thanks again to OVG for, along with Connor and Lori Cadridge, I know as our assistant county manager who wears many hats right now, soon to be less hats, for your work and your partnerships and collaboration with this. So with that, we're going to make a motion to approve this, and then I hope you won't mind, we'll pause for a photo and so we can celebrate this moment. And so I'm looking at to making sure I'm being fair and equitable. So it looks like Commissioner Kafalas, I would appreciate you making the motion to approve Blue Federal Credit Union, the naming rights.
Yes, thank you. I move to approve the Blue Federal Credit Union naming, advertising, and sponsorship agreement for the event center at the ranch.
Thank you, sir, for that motion. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So Cassie and those watching us, we're going to take a quick moment to pause, to take a moment to take this photo and celebrate, and we'll return momentarily. Thank you. Please stand by.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for standing by while we took a moment to celebrate our new naming rights agreement with Blue Federal Credit Union for the event center at the ranch, and we're excited about that. So we'll move on now to our county manager update. So Lorenda, I'm sure you had a very busy week.
It was very busy, thank you, especially after taking the week off ahead. It feels like everything got pushed forward. A lot of internal coordination that I won't go into in great detail, but I did have the pleasure of meeting with Wellington, Johnstown, and Loveland city and town managers. We do a lot of collaboration with each of the municipalities, and coordinating with them is one of the joys of what I get to do, hearing what's going on with them and sharing what's going on with us. I also met with CSU Extension Front Range Regional Director Carrie Rollins to talk about our extension program, the work that she's doing to fill our vacant position of Extension Director, and that's always a treat as well to talk about our ag community. And finally, I met with Suzette Millette, the North Front Range MPO Director, to talk a little bit about our transportation and educating communities on what the MPO does. We learned as we talked to communities about transportation that there's a misconception about what the MPO actually does and where their limits are. And so I think we'll have her come talk at our regional elected officials meetings and have her talk a bit about what the MPO does and how each of these communities collaborates and cooperates with MPOs. And I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorenda. Colleagues, do you have any questions for Lorenda? Okay, well, now we'll move on to our commissioner activity reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Kafalis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And actually, I'm going to pass this morning.
Okay, didn't expect that. Commissioner Stevens, would you like to share your?
Yeah, I'll just share a few things because I know we still have some other business this morning. But on Wednesday last week, I attended the CCAT Governing Board meeting where we discussed some upcoming legislation that was largely presented at Monday's meeting for the committees, and there are a lot of bills on housing. I also attended the CCI legislative breakfast on Friday morning at the Capitol, and so knowing that there are about 30 bills on housing, really trying to address affordable housing. So we will be wrestling with all those in the coming weeks. And I think that there's some really opportunity to make some change, so I'm excited about that. We had the Fair Board meeting on Wednesday night. I attended that. On Thursday, we had CCI steering committees. We were all, between Thursday and Friday, we were all in CCI steering committees a large part of the day, really trying to catch up with the legislation that's coming up and to elect officers, so one of whom is our chair of our board, so I'm sure she will share that, but congratulations on your appointment or your election to CCI steering committee. And then I chaired the NAPME, the Non-Attainment Air Pollution Mitigation Enterprise Board. So we have $2 million, and we were looking this week at some of the I-70 equity projects that were happening and how those happened. And we also got an introduction to some of the transit projects that are happening in northern Colorado as part of the North Front Range MPO. So that was exciting, and we're starting to look at projects we might invest in now that we've collected some dollars. And then Thursday night, we had the Urban Renewal Authority Board, which was largely an executive session talking about possible acquisition of the old Albertsons property and what that might look like to acquire that property for a community center, which would be really exciting. So that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thanks again for your work. We'll probably, I'm sharing some of the same activities that you had
I have
this
a
week.
question for her.
Okay, Commissioner Kafalis?
Thank you. I'm curious, at the CCAT meeting yesterday, what was the outcome of the discussion on House Bill 23-1115, repealing the prohibition local residential rent control?
There was not any kind of decision made. There was a presentation from the legislator who's sponsoring the bill, which is Mabry, and there actually will be another meeting on February 13th really kind of dive into if we want to take a position on that bill. But there was no position discussed of whether to support or not. But he just presented and answered questions about, and I can, and so there was, I would say there was a mixed feeling amongst CCAP members whether they wanted to support it. A lot of people would like to see a short-term rental possibility. Or some mention, especially in the resort communities, about they feel like we can't address the affordable housing situation without also talking about short-term rental regulations. And so there was some pressure to do that. Otherwise, some people felt that it might not be the most effective measure. And knowing that the governor is not necessarily in favor of rent control. But it was a good, robust discussion, but no decision.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'll continue. Thank you, Commissioner Stevens, again, for all your work. I know we both attend a lot of meetings on housing stuff lately. So I will start with, I'll just share a few things. I had a pretty busy week as well. I did, on Wednesday, have a lot of meetings with a handful of county commissioners from around the state about different items, from wildfire bills to housing to other items that are in the legislation. I did have some discussions with the bill sponsors for a bill that I am supporting individually and as a member of the Colorado Forest Health Council. And so we were getting ready for the next day. And so that was a busy day, just a lot of phone calls. And then I attended the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusionary Advisory Board meeting, which was down in Loveland. I want to again thank all the members of that advisory board for their service. They are quite engaged and come with really great questions. We had a presentation from Jacob Castillo, who is currently still our director of the Workforce and Economic Development Center. And so he really, I was blown away by some of his answers and some of his engagement with the EDI board, and it was a really great discussion. And then they are going to look at our list of resolutions and lists and look at some language and give us some input and feedback, and that will be coming. And we're going to be looking at possibly doing some field trips with that group. So more to come on that. So I just wanted to kind of give you an update on that meeting, since I know we all serve as liaisons to that board. On Thursday, I did go down to the state capitol, and thank you, Commissioner Stevens. I am proud to represent our county as a vice chair of the General Government Steering Committee. We're trying to really have kind of a bipartisan and balanced approach on those committees, and so I appreciate everyone's support. We had a lot of robust discussions, even though there's just a few bills out. I think there's 100 bills out currently of the 600 we usually expect from this legislative session. And so we had some great discussions. I also very briefly got to just pop in at the I drove up really quick for the economic forecast thing, but East West at Embassy Suites. And then I went back down to testify at the Capitol on Senate Bill 5, which is a workforce development and wildfire mitigation bill that is being sponsored at the state Capitol, which would really help support workforce development for forestry and fire mitigation efforts here in Larimer County, and something that we're looking at to help enhance or support the Front Range Community College has an exemplary program there, so we're very excited for the work that they do. And then I came back up to attend the Open Lands Advisory Board meeting, which is always a very thoughtful and very robust discussion. We have some very great members there that serve on that advisory board, and I want to thank, I see Dalen Figgs and Megan Flanagan in our audience, and they always help facilitate a great meeting and encourage staff and everyone for this discussion. We had a lot of discussion about the long-term range funding and strategy for acquisitions or maintaining properties. I always try to tell everybody, it might look like we just bought a bunch of dirt, but it takes time and money for helping preserve and take care of some of that dirt, and it's important for trail maintenance. It's more than just dirt, it's wildlife and vistas and important lands, and so I really appreciate the work that they do and the work that they do to help educate us all about this very important topic, and it's certainly a passion area of mine. And then I also I finally got home, I went back down to Denver, attended the same legislative breakfast. It was great to see some of our local legislators and see a lot of my friends that are legislators throughout Colorado at the Capitol, and to have a chance to socialize with some of our colleagues from around the state as county commissioners and some of these other legislators who are weighing in on some of these bills that impact all of us. And then I was able to chair my Forest Health Council Legislative Committee meeting, which we have our Forest Health Council as a whole meeting tomorrow, colleagues, and we have a lot coming on. We will look like we're going to be hosting on May 11th the Forest Health Council here in this room, and we'll be doing some field trips. I'll make sure that you're aware of all of those opportunities in case you'd like to join us. I know you're welcome. We certainly will be touring the nursery, the State Forest Service nursery again, so I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Maybe you want to put that on your calendar just in case you're interested. And then I went back to the CCI building to attend some of the other meetings on Friday, just because we're a lot of land use code bills and discussions on the wildland urban interface bills that we're talking about, and some of the public lands opportunities that we will be talking about going forward with land use and bills coming out that also impact our local control issues. And also trying to get ready for our legislative conference, and I look forward to attending with you, Commissioner Stevens, and Washington, D.C., as we're both on some of those NACO committees, and we have some big meetings that day. So there was really important things happening there. And then on Saturday, I attended the town hall with our newly elected State Senator Janice Marchman and Mayor Marsh. And a lot of those discussions at that town hall was based on the Urban Renewal Authority, metro districts, housing, and those kinds of, and education funding. So that was the topics of the day. And then I had been able to take I'm mentoring a couple students in leadership at University of Colorado Boulder. And I was able to take those students with me to the Capitol so they could experience watching how bills are made and how that process works. And then I met with them individually on Saturday in person just to kind of talk about their goals and helping us reach some of those goals. One of them is going to be continuing her internship and now turning into, well, it is still an internship in Washington, D.C. And so I'm learning a lot from her as we go forward, and I appreciate her engagement. And then yesterday, just really busy day. We had our elected officials lunch, and we welcomed our new sheriff, John Fan, and our new coroner, Stephen Hanks, and Commissioner Kafals was there, myself, and Treasurer Irene Josie. I know, Commissioner Stevens, you stayed on the other CCAP meeting so that we had a voice and could learn more, so thank you for that. And that was a really robust conversation, and I think everyone's really excited about the work that we're doing there together and sharing as we work together as elected officials in Larimer County. And then I attended the Poudre School District State of Our Youth, which is a continuation of the meeting last week where we met with folks from around Poudre School District. There's also nonprofits and organizations and government agencies that are in that room, including Bohemian Foundation, people from the school board, from some of the city councils and things, and a lot of very dedicated and focused individuals who are focused on how we can immediately take action to support some of the needs for our youth in our schools and in our communities. And there's a lot of student voice in the room, and they're very well supported to speak their truth and to voice their concerns or what they think would work and not work. And I know we have a lot of staff there, and I did get a text from one of them saying how excited they were. They think there's ways that the county can partner here, and so more to come with that. I wasn't able to attend all the way to the end, but that's I just want to make sure my colleagues knew about some of that important work, and I'm really glad that we're actually trying to take some action. So with that, busy week, and we have a lot of executive sessions to get through to today. So we have a few this morning, and thank you all for your work. Appreciate all the things that people do. But we'll start now moving into our legal matters area of our agenda. And so first, I guess I'll ask Commissioner Stevens to make a motion to move us into executive session. We're going to move into the first, I think, or do we want us to read all of them, Or how do you want us to do this? Because we have one where we have a decision expected and one without, and then one that we need, it looks like there's two that we need to move into. Can you tell me how you'd like for us to structure those today?
Good morning, Commissioners. Bill Rasu, Larimer County Attorney. I would suggest that you make the first two motions, which are the two legal matters. Those will not be recorded. We can come back into open session. You can take action on the one item that will have action. And then the last item will need to be recorded. So we'll have the clerk here for the open session, and the recording can be made for the last item.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that guidance because I saw they're broken up on our agenda. I want to make sure I did that correctly. So Commissioner Stevens, would you mind making that motion, please?
Yeah, so I'm combining the motions, is that correct? Yeah, okay. So this first one, as was stated, a decision is expected, and so I move this board go into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6, 402-4B for the purpose of conference with an attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice regarding Federal District Court Case 22 CV 2625. And I move that we also move into executive session regarding the same Colorado Revised Statutes for the purpose of receiving legal advice about a threatened lawsuit under CRS 1320-1201.
Thank you, Commissioner Stevens, for that motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you we're going to go off the air now, and we'll return shortly with a decision for after we discuss these two executive sessions. Thank you.
Commissioners, I would ask.
Oh, just one moment. We have to get back online. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We are back from our executive session at our Administrative Matters meeting, and we are back to for the decision made out of the first executive session. So I'm going to turn this over to our county Assistant Attorney Andrew Lewis.
With regards to the case James John Cruz Montoya against Joshua Taylor, ask the commissioners to approve representation by the county attorney's office and indemnification for Mr. Taylor and any other named defendants that should become part of this lawsuit.
Thank you for that explanation. So I will ask Commissioner Cafalas to make that motion, please.
I move the Larimer County Board of Commissioners authorize the Larimer County Attorney's Office to defend this matter and to indemnify the named county employees.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that motion. Any further discussion? With that, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. And so now we will move back into executive session, and I'll have Commissioner Stevens make that motion, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that this board go into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024A for the purpose of discussing the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of open space and conserved, I don't know what that is, property currently owned by Larimer County.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move back into executive session. There is no decision expected from this executive session, so we will not be returning to the air. And so we thank you for joining us today, and we wish you a great day. Thank you.